Lesson 61. I am the light of the world. Who is the light of the world except God's Son? This, then, is merely a statement of the truth about yourself. It is the opposite of a statement of pride, of arrogance, or of self-deception. It does not describe the self-concept you have made. It does not refer to any of the characteristics with which you have endowed your idols. It refers to you as you were created by God. It simply states the truth. To the ego, today's idea is the epitome of self-glorification. But the ego does not understand humility, mistaking it for self-debasement. Humility consists of accepting your role in salvation and in taking no other. It is not humility to insist you cannot be the light of the world if that is the function God assigned to you. It is only arrogance that would assert this function cannot be for you, and arrogance is always of the ego. True humility requires that you accept today's idea because it is God's voice which tells you it is true. This is a beginning step in accepting your real function on earth. It is a giant stride toward taking your rightful place in salvation. It is a positive assertion of your right to be saved and an acknowledgement of the power that is given you to save others. You will want to think about this idea as often as possible today. It is the perfect answer to all illusions, and therefore to all temptation. It brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth and helps you depart in peace, unburdened and certain of your purpose. As many practice periods as possible should be undertaken today, although each one need not exceed a minute or two. They should begin with telling yourself, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. Then think about these statements for a short while, preferably with your eyes closed if the situation permits. Let a few related thoughts come to you and repeat the idea to yourself if your mind wanders away from the central thought. Be sure both to begin and end the day with a practice period. Thus you will awaken with an acknowledgement of the truth about yourself, reinforce it throughout the day, and turn to sleep as you reaffirm your function and your only purpose here. These 2 practice periods may be longer than the rest if you find them helpful and want to extend them. Today's idea goes far beyond the ego's petty views of what you are and what your purpose is. As a bringer of salvation, this is obviously necessary. This is the first of a number of giant steps we will take in the next few weeks. Try today to begin to build a firm foundation for these advances. You are the light of the world. 6. God has built his plan for the salvation of his Son on you. All right, let's settle in for this fireside chat. No preaching. Just a real conversation about what this lesson is really saying, beneath the words. Because it's saying something profound, something that goes against everything the ego has trained us to believe. I am the light of the world. Not this body is the light of the world. Not this personality is the light of the world. Not this struggling, doubting, tired, broken, frustrated version of myself is the light of the world. But I am. So who is the I that Jesus is talking about? Not the ego. Not the character we play in this dream, not the self-image we've constructed out of memories, fears, and survival tactics. The Course is pointing to something beyond all that, the real you, the part of you that was never broken, never touched by suffering, never actually needed saving because it was never lost. But the problem is, we don't feel like the light of the world. We feel like a flickering candle at best, burning out, struggling against the wind. So what's the gap? Why don't we experience the truth of this? The ego's definition of humility, and why it's all backwards. The lesson says, the ego mistakes humility for self-debasement. What does that mean? The ego tells us that being humble means we have to see ourselves as less than. It says, who am I to claim something so grand? I'm just a person. I've made mistakes. I've got flaws. I'm struggling. I'm not enlightened. I'm not special. But that's not humility. That's arrogance, because it assumes that the ego's version of you is what's real. The Course is saying, true humility is accepting what God says about you, not what your little self-image says about you. Humility isn't playing small. It's getting out of the way of the truth. Imagine if the sun refused to shine because it thought it was unworthy of giving light. That wouldn't be humility, that would be insanity. What is my real function? The Course says your function is to be the light of the world. That means your function is not to struggle and prove yourself worthy. To seek meaning through achievements or suffering, to fix yourself or others. Your function is to shine, which simply means to recognize what you already are. But why does that feel impossible some days? What's blocking the light? This line stood out. It brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth. That means we have illusions about who we think we are. Images, stories, narratives. And if we believe in those images, we are tempted. Tempted by what? Tempted to think we are small. Tempted to think we are unworthy. Tempted to think that all this suffering is proof that we are not the light. The Course is saying that every doubt, every feeling of defeat, every voice that says I don't feel like the light is just an old image begging to be seen as false. Think of it like this. Imagine you're standing in a dark room full of mirrors. Every mirror reflects a distorted version of you. Some show you as weak, some as broken, some as lost, some as powerless. But then someone turns on the light and suddenly you realize the reflections were never you. They were just images, just glass. And the moment you stop believing in them, they lose all power over you. God has built his plan for the salvation of his Son on you. That sounds like a lot of responsibility, doesn't it? But here's the thing. It's not up to you, the ego, to do the saving. You don't have to carry this weight. Imagine you're a lighthouse. Your job is not to drag ships to shore. Your job is simply to shine. The Course isn't asking you to force salvation. It's asking you to stop resisting what is already true. What does this lesson want us to see? It's planting a seed that you are already what you're searching for. It's trying to get you to see that you don't have to do anything to be the light, except stop believing you aren't. It's telling you that the exhaustion, the doubts, the hunger for something more, all of it is just the mind looking for proof of what's already here. And the moment you stop waiting for proof, you start seeing it. Not in some grand mystical experience, not in fireworks or some divine voice from the clouds, but in the quiet recognition that you are already home, right now, in this moment, even in the struggle, even in the doubt, even in the exhaustion, you are still the light, and nothing can change that.